everyone, and welcome to a very special video. Today's video is in collaboration with one of my friends, vixxo. But if you think my collaborations are going to be positive, well, think again. In today's video, I'll be reviewing, and more specifically, negatively reviewing vixxo's favorite comebacks of 2021. And I'm just going to say it right now. Some of these comebacks I do like, and some of them I absolutely despise, but I'm not going to tell you which is which. No, I will not be saying a single positive thing about any of these comebacks. Instead, we'll be dissecting and analyzing everything wrong with them, and talking about what could be improved or fixed. To reiterate, we'll be going over 5 of vixxo's favorite comebacks, and in her video, she'll be talking about 5 of my favorites. So make sure to check out her video and her channel. She makes some very high quality content. Thanks so much in advance for watching. Thank you vixxo again for doing this collaboration with me. And without further ado, let's get into the video. My main problem with Hula Hoop is that the song is set in such a high key where it feels like the members are singing out of their range for the most of it. Even in the verses, which have the lowest notes of the song, it feels like they're leaning into the nasal part of their voices, which becomes tiring to listen to even after one listen. There's one specific vocal ad-lib in the final chorus where you can literally hear the person's voice cracking, and it kind of sounds like they're trying to impersonate the vocal style of Sia, which may have just been a stylistic choice, but I'm not a fan of Sia's voice, and I'm not a fan of the member's voice here either. Another gripe I have with the vocal delivery in Hula Hoop is that in many instances, it seems like they prioritize sounding cute over sounding good. Having so many members is one of Loona's biggest strengths because it brings so many vocal colors to the table. However, as somebody who knows all the members and can usually identify their voices, I couldn't recognize any of them in this song. Maybe they were all given strange directions while recording. I've heard that these kind of vocals cater more to the Japanese market, which is totally understandable. However, they've done these kind of vocals before in tracks like Hi Hi and Why Not, and in my opinion, they did it better back then than they did now. In their Korean tracks that are more on the cute side, they were able to perfectly add personality to the words without sacrificing musical integrity in their voices or sounding awkward. However, in Hula Hoop, all of the lines sound very one note, staying at the same level of cute the entire time, which makes it sound very underdeveloped, and it's sort of hard to connect with the music as a listener. Another little pet peeve I have, which isn't really the biggest deal, is that for a Japanese single, there seems to be a very apparent lack of Japanese. The hook, second half of the chorus, and much more of the song are entirely in English. And considering Loona's ginormous English-speaking audience, I feel like they could have just made this an English single considering they didn't make much of an effort to include the Japanese language in their Japanese music. Of course, they are signed to a Japanese company which they released this song under. I'm just saying they could have put more of the language in the song. Compared to the rest of Enhypen's discography, which is full of innovative musical styles and sounds, Tame Dash feels overwhelmingly safe. Instead of continuing with the supernatural, horror-adjacent concept they had going on, they decided to release a summer punk song in October, which, personally, feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. Considering how almost every artist under Hybe, or High B, have released music similar to Tame Dashed all within the same year, by the time Dimension Dilemma dropped, the season wasn't the only reason it felt outdated. I have a problem with the chorus of this song because despite not being an anti-drop, it feels very empty. I know it's a characteristic of the genre to rely more on percussion and guitar rather than synth lines or anything like that, but there is quite literally just one line of percussion and just one line of a bass guitar playing during the chorus. And considering it's supposed to be the most impactful part of the song, I don't get why for this part specifically, they stripped away basically all of the actual music. They add a little bit more instrumental during the second half of the chorus, or the post-chorus, I'm not entirely sure what you want to call it, but instead of feeling like an evolution of the music, to me, it just emphasizes how anticlimactic that first half felt. Another issue I have with Tame Dashed is that with a song like this, you would expect the final chorus to have an extra punch, a little bit of oomph to end on a high note. But what they instead do is play the exact same instrumental, no changes, and even the little vocal ad-libs that they put on the last chorus of every song out there, they're subdued and you can barely even hear them. So all 3 of the choruses feel the exact same. And since the song is very safe and generic, the end result just feels very underwhelming, and I just wish they did a little bit more. In the past year or so, there's been this trend of K-pop songs getting shorter and shorter, and Stereotype is a prime example of how this trend has a negative effect on the music. For being such a simple sounding and lighthearted song, Stereotype feels like it goes way too fast. I've seen a lot of people praising the two-part chorus, saying how interesting it makes Stereotype feel, but both parts are only 15 seconds long each, and when it adds up to 30, that's how long a regular one-part chorus is supposed to be. I can't help but wish that Stereotype was 4 minutes or even 4 minutes and 15 seconds long to fully flesh out the musical ideas that they were going for, because with things like the second verse before the pre-chorus being 10 seconds long, yes, 10 seconds long, there's a lot of untapped musical potential that must have been sacrificed in order to make a more compressed and easy to loop piece of music. I definitely blame streaming culture a little bit for this. There's no way that companies don't cut the runtime of their group's comeback so that their fandoms can stream them more. Unfortunately, what I don't think they're keeping in mind is that things like this prevent people like me from becoming fans. Generally, Stereotype feels like an edited down version of a finished product, and to me, it's just a little bit unsatisfying to listen to because it feels like there could be so much more. For being the title track for an album that is literally a play on words for the term noisy, Thunderous does not seem to fit the concept. But before we get into that, let's talk about Chan's English lyricism. Why you mad? Why you sad? Why you tick, tick, tick? I'm not sorry, I'm dirty. I'm not a professional lyricist, and I don't think Chan is either, but this still seems like a step down even from his previous work. This album was supposed to be a slap in the face to haters, showing that they don't care what other people think, but the lyrics used make the song sound more awkward than it does confident, and so does the actual music in terms of the instrumental. Considering the reputation Stray Kids have in terms of their title tracks, if you told me they were going to use brass instruments in their next comeback, I would expect a full band, but instead it sounds like we got one or maybe two lone trumpets. It's so strange because Stray Kids are known for how powerful their title songs are, but that seems to be the one factor that Thunderous is missing. It almost feels as if you're listening to an army's march leading up to a grand battle, but you never actually get to witness the fight. Thunderous feels like it's leading up to something the entire time, but it never really takes that final leap. I will commend 3RACHA and whoever else worked on the musical composition for making Thunderous sound very clean, but it feels too clean. Tracks like God's Menu and Double Knot threw all care to the wind, but they had so much character which made them so amazing. And with Thunderous, I feel like I just don't know what it wants to be. Is it loud? Is it boisterous? Is it noisy? I don't really know. And I don't think 3RACHA did either. Contradicting with Thunderous, Savage is a song that has way too much character. And first, let's talk about that chorus. I actually don't mind it for the most part, but there are two specific moments that sound like they were literally produced by a clown. First of all, there's the honk of a clown nose. And then there's the vocal doubling effect that sounds like it was made by Mickey Mouse. I'm usually down for quirkiness in K-pop, but that just seems like a step too far. Secondly, that rap section where it sounds like they're literally screaming into the microphone. I'm not well versed in rap flow, but it doesn't seem like there was much attention or care for that in that verse. Instead, it feels like they were told to just be loud and start shouting, and they just went along with it. Lastly, that ending. I really don't know how to process it. Every single time I listen to that section of the song, my ears just get overloaded. The ad-libs, the layers of ad-libs, the high notes, the chorus going on in the background, the instrumental, it's all too much. People will say I just don't get it, but can you really blame me when there are a million things going on at the same time? I don't get Savage. I never have, I never will, and I'm at peace with that. And that concludes this video. Thank you all so much for watching if you've gotten this far, and thank you again to vixxo for doing this collaboration with me. Super fun, like genuinely so fun. Let me know what you thought of my critiques of vixxo's favorite songs in 2021, and make sure to check out vixxo's video to see her do the same thing as I did to her favorite songs. If you liked the video, consider leaving a thumbs up or sharing, and if you want to see more from me, consider subscribing. Thank you all again so much for watching. And without further ado, see you next time.